Most people think self-transformation is about a new haircut, a new gym membership, or a new productivity app. But if it were that easy, why do 90% of New Year's resolutions fail by February? Is it possible that the very way we've been taught to change is actually designed to make us fail? We define self-transformation as a total shift in your trajectory. Think about Winston Churchill. In the 1930s, he was a political has-been. People thought his career was over. Yet, he became the symbol of global defiance. What was the specific psychological switch he flipped that allowed him to rise from the ashes of his own reputation? Or look at Dwayne Johnson. He wasn't always The Rock. He was a guy with $7 in his pocket who failed at his primary dream of playing professional football. He didn't just try harder at football. He transformed his entire identity. Most people wake up one day and decide they want to change. They buy a new pair of running shoes or download a language app. They think they are starting a journey. But within 2 weeks, the shoes are in the closet and the app notifications are being ignored. Why is it that our desire to change is so strong in the morning, but vanishes by the time we actually have to do the work? The truth is, you aren't fighting laziness. You are fighting your own biology. Your brain is a survival machine, not a transformation machine. It values predictability over improvement every single time. It would rather you be miserably familiar than happily uncertain. But what if there was a way to trick your brain into thinking that change is actually the safest option available? This is where we define the goal field. Identity architecture. It's the art of building a new you from the inside out. Look at someone like Winston Churchill. In the 1930s, he was a political outcast. He was a man out of time, living in the shadow of his own failures. How did a man who was considered a relic of the past become the only person capable of leading the future? He didn't just change his speeches, he changed his environment and his daily rituals to reflect a man who was already a leader. He anchored his identity in a version of himself that didn't exist yet. Most of us do the opposite. We anchor ourselves in who we used to be. Are you unknowingly carrying around a ghost version of your past self that is sabotaging every move you make? Then look at Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. He went from a failed football player to a wrestler, then to a movie star. But if you look closely, he didn't just change jobs. He brought the discipline of the athlete into every single room he entered. What is the one master skill he used to bridge the gap between two completely unrelated industries? The conventional advice you hear is to fake it until you make it. People tell you to just act like the person you want to be. But this is dangerous. If you act like someone you aren't, your brain feels like a fraud. This creates cognitive dissonance. Is the very act of trying to be better actually making you feel more like a failure? The reason it fails is that your brain doesn't naturally connect knowledge to action. You can read 100 books on transformation, but if your identity hasn't shifted, that knowledge is just mental wallpaper. It looks nice, but it doesn't hold up the house. What is the specific identity anchor you need to drop today to stop your old self from pulling you back? In this masterclass, we are moving past the surface. We are going deep. I'm going to show you how to build a foundation that makes growth inevitable. We are going to cover identity anchoring, cross-domain transfer, and the power of productive failure. But before we build the new, we have to understand the big mistake that is currently draining your willpower. Do you know what it is? The biggest mistake is self-improvement tourism. This is when you try a little bit of everything but master nothing. You dabble in keto, you dabble in coding, you dabble in waking up early. You are a tourist in the land of change. Why does dabbling actually make it harder for you to ever achieve a real breakthrough in the future? When you dabble, you never reach the threshold of mastery. You stay in the phase where everything is hard and nothing is rewarding. Real expertise, the kind that transforms you, is built when you go deep enough to see the hidden patterns. What does mastery actually feel like on a neurological level, and how can you trigger it on command? Mastery looks like intuition. It's when you no longer have to think about the steps, because you are the process. This is what we call building a mental model. Once you have a mental model for success in one area, you can copy-paste it into any other area. If you could copy and paste your best qualities into your weakest areas, what would your life look like by tomorrow morning? Think about Dwayne Johnson again. He became an elite athlete first. He learned what it felt like to push past his limits. Then he didn't learn acting from scratch. He used the foundation of elite effort and applied it to the craft of Hollywood. But what happens when you have the discipline but you don't know where to point it? This is why you must spend real time building expertise in your first field. Do not seek surface knowledge. Surface knowledge is a lie that makes you feel productive while you're actually standing still. You need vertical growth, not horizontal expansion. Are you currently moving sideways in your life, thinking that you're actually moving up? Vertical growth builds the discipline infrastructure. It's like building a high-speed rail line. It takes a long time to lay the tracks, but once they are down, you can travel at 200 miles per hour. Without tracks, you're just a car stuck in the mud. How much faster could you reach your goals if you stopped driving through the mud and started building your own tracks? The benefit is quantifiable. Research shows that once you master a complex skill, you can learn your second related skill up to 40% faster. You aren't just learning a skill, you are learning how to learn. But once you have this depth, how do you stop yourself from becoming a one-hit wonder who can only do one thing well? This is the bridge to the next level. Once you have the depth, the challenge is getting knowledge from one field to help you in another. Most people keep their skills in separate boxes. They have a work box and a health box. What if the secret to your biggest breakthrough is hidden in the one place you've been taught never to look? You have to force your knowledge to collide. You have to create a nuclear fusion of ideas. That is what we are covering in the next section. We are going to look at how to transfer your power from where you are strong to where you are weak. Are you ready to see the study that proves why specialists are actually at a disadvantage in the modern world? We've built the foundation. You've stopped being a tourist and started laying the tracks of deep discipline. But there is a trap waiting for you. It's the trap of the silo. This is when you become so good at one thing that you become blind to everything else. Could your greatest strength actually be the very thing that prevents you from reaching the next level of your transformation? In the old world, the advice was simple. Specialize. Become the best at one narrow slice of life and stay there. But in a world that changes every 5 minutes, specialization is a death sentence for your personal growth. Why are the most expert people often the ones who struggle the most when life throws a curveball? Let me tell you about a study that completely changed how we think about success. Researchers looked at 3 types of workers: specialists, generalists, and polymaths. They wanted to see who actually solved the most complex problems. The results were shocking. The people we assume should be the most successful were actually the ones who failed the most. Do you know why? The specialists were great at routine tasks, but they were brittle. When the rules changed, they broke. The generalists were flexible, but they didn't have enough depth to execute. But the polymaths? They were the ones who dominated. What is the polymath secret that allows a person to be both deep like an expert and flexible like a beginner at the same time? A polymath is someone who goes deep in one field and then bridges that knowledge into another. They don't just learn new things, they look for patterns. They realize that the way you manage a team is actually very similar to the way you manage your own nervous system. What if the coding logic you use at work is the exact same logic you need to fix your struggling relationships at home? This is called cross-domain pattern matching. It's the ability to take a framework that works in field A and force it into field B. Think about an expert like Tim Ferriss. He uses the same deconstruction framework for everything, from learning Japanese to deadlifting 400 pounds. How can one single mental framework be powerful enough to master two completely different worlds? He doesn't start from zero every time. He just takes the pattern and changes the subject. Most people think transformation means starting a new life from scratch. They want to burn the old house down. But what if burning down your past is actually the reason you keep running out of fuel for your future? Transformation is not about subtraction, it's about integration. You need to take the old you, the engineer, the teacher, the salesperson, and use those specific skills to fuel the new you. What is the one skill from your current boring job that is actually the secret weapon for your dream life? Here is your actionable exercise: the force multiplier connection. Every time you learn something new, you must immediately find two examples from completely different areas of your life where that same idea applies. Why does this simple connection exercise suddenly make your brain learn new information twice as fast? If you learn about resistance in physics, find how it applies to procrastination in your work. If you learn about compound interest in finance, find how it applies to skill acquisition. You are building a web, not a list. What happens to your confidence when you realize you already know 80% of what you need for your next big goal? This builds a cross-domain bridge. Suddenly, you aren't a beginner anymore. You are an expert moving into a new territory with a map you already drew. But even with a map, there is a dark valley every transformer must cross. Are you prepared for the method that feels like failing but is actually winning? Now we enter the most uncomfortable part of the psychology of change. We've all been taught that getting it right is the goal. We want the easy way. We want the hack. We want the 5-minute tutorial that makes us perfect. What if I told you that the faster you learn something, the faster you are guaranteed to forget it? This is the counterintuitive hook. The best way to learn, the best way to transform, is to intentionally make it harder on yourself. This is a concept scientists call productive failure. Why do students who are taught the right way first actually perform worse than students who are left to struggle and fail on their own? Dr. Manu Kapoor discovered that when you struggle with a problem before being shown the solution, your brain opens up hooks. It creates a state of cognitive hunger. When the answer finally comes, your brain devours it. Are you currently starving your brain of the very struggle it needs to actually grow? Most people give up the moment they feel the struggle. They think, "This isn't for me," or "I'm not good at this." But the struggle isn't a sign that you're failing. The struggle is the sensation of your brain rewiring itself. How can you tell the difference between bad failure that stops you and productive failure that propels you? The difference is in the method. There are 3 specific techniques to make your learning desirably difficult. The first is interleaving. Stop practicing one thing for hours. Mix it up. Why does mixing up your practice feel like you're getting worse, even though you're actually getting much stronger? The second is spacing. You have to leave gaps. You have to let yourself almost forget the new you before you bring it back. This forces your brain to reload the identity, making the connection deeper every time. What is the golden ratio of rest to work that ensures your transformation becomes permanent instead of temporary? The third is answer before learning. Try to perform the new identity before you are ready. If you want to be a speaker, stand on a stage before you have a script. If you want to be a coder, try to build an app before you finish the course. Why does the embarrassment of failing in public actually act as a chemical catalyst for rapid brain change? It works because it creates a knowledge gap. Your brain hates gaps. it will work overtime to fill them. By trying and failing, you have created a vacuum that sucks in the new identity. But once the new you is finally built, how do you protect it from the people in your life who want the old you back? Transformation is a psychological siege. It's not a weekend retreat. It's a battle between the person you were and the person you are becoming. Let's recap the architecture of this victory. If you only remembered one thing from this entire journey, which of these three pillars would save you in your darkest moment? First, you must build the foundation. Stop dabbling. Pick one area of deep discipline and master the mental models of success. Stop being a tourist. Are you willing to sacrifice the variety of your current life for the power of your future self? Second, use the transfer. Don't leave your past behind. Use it as fuel. Bridge your old skills into your new goals. Be a polymath. Third, don't forget to watch our last video to improve your self-development.